Welcome back, y'all. Hey, once again, welcome to Date Dishes TV. I am your host, Larson Wilkes, and actually, I have a treat for you today. We have two throwback videos from the original Date Dishes DVD we produced 12 years ago. Now, these two appetizers make for an excellent way to begin the night and take it to the next level. They are the perfect way to introduce your cooking, keep it casual, yet elevated to impress. I'm sharing these particular creations with you because after all of these years, I've never ever had to improve on them. Yeah, they're kind of perfect. How's that for confidence? Now, both of these were huge favorites at my restaurants, and I was constantly asked to share the recipe, which I never did. Have I told you lately that I love you? Until Date Dishes, and today you're gonna know how to make them for your special guest. Of course, even though the guy who's gonna actually show you how to make these is a much younger, less wise version of me, the recipes still hold true. Now, at the end of the video, I am gonna put up the ingredients so you can write them down. So for now, just pay attention and learn a little something, huh? The name Date Dishes implies two things, right? Yes, there's the dishes, duh. But what about the date part? Now make sure you subscribe because we are working on an amazing new project that's gonna be uploaded in 2 weeks that's all about making the perfect first impression. But more importantly, how to effectively ask someone to dinner in the first place without sounding creepy or too aggressive. And to ensure you're getting the answer that you're looking for. So don't miss out because it just might change your dating life. I need a drink. So first up, some killer Panko crusted sea scallops with a rosemary cream sauce, and then some silly delicious spinach and Gruyere cheese stuffed mushrooms. Yeah, I went there. So let's get to cooking, y'all. And remember, from me to you, good luck on all your future dates. But for now, let's take it back in time.
All right, guys, next up, I have an awesome treat for you. We're gonna do a Panko and macadamia nut crusted sea scallops with a rosemary beurre blanc. Now, my beurre blanc is not the classical way, and I'm sure there's some French chef out there going, this is not the way you make it. But that's the way I make it, and I'll tell you why. Because the way I do it will hold better, and the chances of your sauce breaking before your date gets there is far less likely. So I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I need to get this sauce started first of all, because it does take a little bit of time. You're gonna start off with a shallot. Basically, it's just like a small onion. I'll show you a trick of how to cut this. I see people doing this whole number. They just, oh, I can't get it out. Watch this. Just cut the ends off. Okay, put it up on the end, cut it in half, and just take the whole outside skin right off. There you go. Now you got a peeled shallot. Now you can do that well with an onion as well. But for this purpose, we're only going to use about, all the shallots are different sizes, so we're going to say about a tablespoon and a half. Bring it, hold it with your fingers inwards, using your knuckles as a guide, and just give this a quick cut. Bring it all back together. They're jumping around on me. Now don't feel like you have to be a chef at home. Don't go all crazy with your knife. Just enjoy it, take your time. Don't cut off the ends of your fingers, otherwise your date's not going to go so well. All right, we got about a tablespoon and a half right here, and I'm going to add that to my hot pan with just a little bit of olive oil. Try to use extra virgin if you can. It doesn't really matter for this particular dish, but it definitely just won't give it a whole lot of flavor. You're not trying to taste the oil. You got one whole sprig of rosemary. You have to use rosemary for this dish. If you can't find rosemary, choose something else. Throw that in there. Let it get hot. We're going to add a little bit of the Bordeaux blend. Okay, you got about a teaspoon there. And then we're going to add our garlic. And a little bit of fresh parsley. I'd say about a tablespoon. Okay, we're going to let that brown just for a second. And I've lost my wooden spoon here. We're going to stir that around so it doesn't burn. The garlic will burn fairly quickly, but you're looking for that just about a minute and a half or so, just so the shallots get a little translucent and start to release their aroma and their flavor. Okay, we got that in there. We're going to add 1 cup of wine. And don't feel like you've got to use a really good wine for this either. Just get the big box of wine, get the cheap stuff. It doesn't matter. I got this at my grocery store here locally. It cost literally, I think it was $2, maybe $3 for this. It's the cheapest of the cheap. All right, now we're gonna let that reduce, and it's gonna go for about 10 minutes. So I'm gonna put this on about medium-high heat, and meanwhile, we're gonna prep our scallops. Now, scallops can be tricky, but they don't have to be. Let me explain why. They come with a little bit of this side muscle on them, and a lot of people don't know just to take that off because it gets real rubbery when you cook them. So all you gotta do is grab it and pull it right off. Super easy. Now, I would not suggest more than 4 sea scallops between you and your date. The reason being is they're nice and buttery, kind of rich with the sauce, and obviously you're just trying to get a little teaser to your main entree. You don't want to fill them up. We've got some white flour here, and I've got my macadamia nut and panko breading. Now, I need to show you how to do that real quick. Take yourself about a half a cup of macadamia nuts. Now, I've already got some in there, but I just needed to show you a little bit how easy this is. Put it in a food processor and let her rip. Just for about, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds or whatever that was. Now, I've already actually made this, but you're gonna take a half a cup of your macadamia nut, and then you're gonna combine it with 1/2 cup of your panko. You're then gonna add 1 tablespoon of the Bordeaux blend and the zest from 1/2 of a lemon. Now, all you can do is take a regular cheese grater. You don't have to buy one of those little fancy zesters. Just about everybody has one of these. Watch your knuckles, though. We don't want knuckle zest. Now, you're only doing about half the lemon. Is that half? Yeah, it's close enough. All right, pull it out. All right. And then just give it a little quick little mix. This is gonna add some nice color to the scallops, but it's also gonna add some real nice robust flavor because when we cook that lemon zest, the oils are gonna come out and be real flavorful. Now I've got 1 egg here, and I'm gonna add just a little bit of cream, and I mean little bit, maybe 2 tablespoons at the most. Okay, give that a quick whisk. Now a lot of people like to use milk or water. I like to use cream. Reason being, I just think that it gives it a real nice coating and it's a little richer of a flavor. All right, so we got our scallops. We're gonna take it and put a little bit of flour, go into the egg wash, and put that on the scallop, just like so. We're gonna do that all 4 times. And I'm actually gonna put these on a plate here in a minute. I just don't happen to have one here. And you want to let them rest face down so that the natural pressure of the scallops helps the panko set into the scallop. Now you can't fry these right away, otherwise this breading is going to come right off. You need to let them sit and set onto the scallop for about, ideally 45 minutes or so. I've got some in the refrigerator. Let me grab those for you. I did these just a little while ago, about an hour ago, and as you can see, now it's really set and it's got a little harder. So I'm going to kind of bring these up to room temperature a little bit while I'm finishing my sauce. It's okay to leave seafood out for a short time, just don't leave it out for, too long. All right, I've reduced this about half. You guys can see that? Basically, you kind of have to eyeball it a little bit. Just kind of look on your pan, see where you started and see where you've gotten to. Now, I'm going to add 1 cup of cream. And don't be afraid to use a measuring cup. Don't try to be cool in front of your date and eyeball everything, otherwise it's not going to turn out right. Okay, you're going to bring that back up to a boil, but a light boil, because if you boil milk or cream, it'll actually blow up right over the pan. And in a way, I almost want to do it just to show it to you. I get teased at the restaurant sometimes when I'm not paying attention and my sauce explodes, and they say, "You're our chef, aren't you?" Well, sometimes. Anyways, that's got to reduce for just a few minutes, and we're going to come back. It's going to take about 7 minutes, and I'll be right back with you. Well, about 7 minutes has gone by, and as you can see, this has been reduced by about half once again. That's a great rule of thumb, by the way. If you're reducing any kind of wine, stock, cream, whatever, usually by half gets you the flavor that you're looking for. Now what I'm also going to do is add the juice of half of a lemon. Pardon me, an orange. I do know my fruit. Make sure there's no seeds in it though, and if you see some seeds, put a strainer there so you don't get any in there. Okay, mix that around just a tad little bit. Now as you see, that's not really a nice sauce to serve yet. It needs to be thicker. So here's a couple little tricks. And what that trick is by combining a little bit of chicken stock with some cornstarch. Now cornstarch is used in all types of cooking. It's just basic thickening agent. So I've got about a half of a cup of chicken stock. And when I say that, you can just buy the canned stuff. You don't have to go and make some kind of, homemade stock for this. Just grab the cheap stuff as well. Make sure you stir that and make sure the chicken stock is either cold or at room temperature. If it is hot, all it's going to do is clump. It will not set. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and add this in now. In order for cornstarch to work, it has to be at a boil. Okay, so keep this on high heat. Bring this to a boil. See how it's thickening up? I think you can probably see that just in itself. See? See how I'm doing this? Just thickened up just like that. It's perfect. Okay. Turn that down just a tad little bit because we don't want it to boil anymore. And actually we can take it off. And now I'm going to stir in some cold butter. Now this is going to somewhat emulsify and it's going to help the flavors really come out. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Now the rosemary is going to break up a little bit in there. I personally like that. And a lot of the customers that I've talked with do like that. But if you're not a huge fan of rosemary, you're not sure about your date, before I added the cornstarch, I could have strained this and gotten all the rosemary out. It really is a personal preference. Okay? Almost there. And you're going to use 3 tablespoons of butter when you do this. You're going to keep stirring it until it's almost incorporated. Then you'll add in the next one, and then you'll add in the next one. And truthfully, with this dish, the cream is not the main focus of the dish anyways. It's the scallop. This will actually sit underneath the scallop on the plate. So even if you have that rosemary in there, it's really not going to make much of a difference at all. All right, now what we do, set that aside, and because I have that cornstarch in there, it's actually going to just hold and it won't break on me at all. Okay, now what I'm going to do is get the Panko crusted scallops rolling. We're going to get about medium-high heat. I've got 1 tablespoon of butter. I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in it. And the reason I'm doing that is that the smoking point of olive oil is so much higher than butter. When you mix the two, your butter will not burn. Okay? You don't have to be super hot, but that's about right. We'll take these sea scallops that we had prepped earlier on. You're going to put the panko and the macadamia crust against that butter and olive oil. And you're going to let that sucker go for about 30 seconds to a minute. It kind of depends on your individual stove. And if this is the first time you're ever doing this, you're practicing it at the house, you keep checking it, peeking a little bit. But when you first put it down, you don't want to move it all around. That coating has got to set against the scallop. So at this point, we can kind of get things ready for plating. Now, a fun way to do this is not necessarily make a different plate for you and your guest, but rather put them all together on one. I'll show you the presentation. I find that when putting it all on one plate, it's a little bit more fun. It's kind of like you're doing it together as opposed to each having individual plates. So now you see how this is starting to brown? We've got this rolling, and someone has stolen my tongs again. Damn camera guys. Here we go, look at that. Perfect brown, and it's been about 1 minute. Oh man. That's a perfect golden brown right there. Now we're going to put it in a 400-degree oven. And we're going to do that for 3 minutes. No more than that, otherwise you're going to overcook them. So meanwhile, let's set the plate while those are rolling. You can do really whatever you want to do. I'm just going to pour a little bit, like yay, on the plate. Set that aside, and you're going to have some fresh rosemary, hopefully, from before. Okay, just kind of get that rolling like that. Maybe put one off to the side. That's a little bit big. There's a steroid user there. Take a little bit of fresh lemon zest like we had before. Go around the plate. And like we did before, you could take a little bit of paprika and just kind of go around the plate as well. All right. Now if you'd like to, you could use other types of herbs as well, but obviously since we had the rosemary already, this would be a great presentation here. I think we got about 30 more seconds to go. So as usual, I do suggest cleaning up quickly, especially if you do have a date with you. She's going to go, oh wow, he's such a tidy fellow. I wouldn't mind having him at my house. Let's give this a try. Now I've got a convection oven here, so the reason that really didn't go for 3 minutes, that went for about 1.5 minutes. But with my convection oven, that's actually going to cook probably at twice the speed. So at home, that's what you need for about 3 minutes. Okay, now we're just going to take these little bundles of joy. Now you see how the crust is not falling apart? That's because we let it set there earlier. Oh, that's awesome. You kind of set it this way, then it's kind of obvious, hey, those are for her, these are for you. You know, do whatever you want to do. Have fun with it. And there you go, guys. Beautiful macadamia and panko crusted scallops with a rosemary beurre blanc. Enjoy.